Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. One of the unique things about options versus equities is that there's a fixed timeline for the trade, right? The expiration date is like a ticking clock, and there's been tons and tons and tons of trades throughout my career where I might have the thesis correct, but I got the time frame wrong, right? So definitely one of the challenges that options present, or one of the more unique challenges that options present. And um, for me, I just because I lost money in a trade doesn't mean I completely abandoned the idea. Okay, it doesn't mean I'm necessarily jumping right back into it, but there are scenarios where I want to stick with the idea, but I recognize that I've already lost money in it, and I want my overall risk to be lower. Right. So, really, the main thesis needs to still be intact. Okay. So whether that's technical, right? If I'm looking for a breakout and maybe like the option expired without the breakout developing, or if I'm looking for uh, maybe a breakdown, right, and the option expire without that happening. Hedges, right? These really revolve around time frames, or the option could expire without the fundamental reason happening, right? So if I'm looking at a biotech for drug data and it gets postponed and it comes after my option expires, then obviously like, I still want to be involved for that data release, but I have to re-up that strategy, right? So there's plenty of reasons why it could happen where the option expires before the trade plays out, right? But I don't mind re-upping and putting more money into the same idea as long as the thesis stands. Okay, so Fluidime is an example where I originally got involved because I was looking for possible emergency use authorization for one of their tests for COVID-19, and throughout the holding period, which was up until this past Friday, June 19th expiration, just waiting on news, waiting on news, waiting on news, waiting for that headline, and it never materialized, right? And the stock just kind of slowly, steadily dropped throughout that time period. So it expired worthless, and now coming into this week, I've decided to put a little bit more risk in to this idea, but that's the key, a little bit more risk, right? So whereas the original trade, I had, the risk amount was a certain level, right? This re-up or revisiting like the same idea, so we're losing trade, I'm probably looking at like 50% to maybe sometimes even like a third. So I definitely want the overall risk to be lower than the original risk or original net debit I had on that first trade, right? Because I want to acknowledge that I've already lost money, so me putting more money into it obviously could compound those losses, right? So I do still want to be involved because the thesis still stands, but overall I want the risk to be about 50% or even like a third of the overall original net debit of this trade, right? And that kind of stands for most of the trades I revisit. I want that risk to be about 50%, even like a third, sometimes even like a quarter. Okay, and that, if it ends up working out, that's great, right? Because then at least I have some and I'm participating. Maybe it allows me to make back what I lost. Maybe it allows me to make back what I lost and then some on top of it. That's great. It can be frustrating, right? If you only have like a half a position or 50% of the original and it works perfectly, but it's a long game and like these types of scenarios happen. And I found throughout my career that this is what works best for me. If the thesis still stands, I don't mind revisiting it, but I want that risk to be about 50% or even like a third of like the original net debit. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more option trade ideas, more earnings trade ideas, more biotech trade ideas with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options in play. Hope you guys have a great night. Stay well, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.